All right, this is a whole video from Dantavius. Like we're okay. I'm not gonna say we're friends, okay? Because this guy stinks. I'm just kidding. He's a nice guy. We've had a conversation before. He's a pretty cool dude. Does he subscribe to me?
There's a lot of theories.
Well, now I do. So yeah. So he's a nice guy. I guess he has shorts now. Whatever. But this video is an hour and 11 minutes long. That's insane. I saw this today. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this. It'll be great. And then like I'm sitting here. I have an hour and 10 minutes to watch it, and it's an hour and 10 minutes long. So you know this video's gonna be like 3 hours long because you know how I like to do my commentary. But we'll increase the speed a little bit. Let's just get it going.
Is it going good? Well, I can pretty much guarantee that by the end of this video, that's not going to be the case, okay? If you finish watching this video all the way through, the rest of your day is going to be ruined. So maybe just, watch it at night before bed. Actually, no, don't do that either because you might not be able to sleep.
This is why it's so long. You won't shut the hell up, bro.
Anyways, I'm Dantavius. How you doing? And this is the disturbing Reddit post Iceberg Explained. If you're unfamiliar with what an iceberg chart is, it's basically a way to sort information from most known to least known. That's all you need to know. Now, the post that I'm going to be discussing in this video can range anywhere from creepy to disgusting to just outright insane. Like, you're going to be disturbed in multiple ways. Some of these entries will keep you up at night and others will make you want to vomit. That being said, if you're easily grossed out, easily creeped out, or are sensitive to certain topics, I would highly, highly suggest you do not watch this video. Alright, I'm warning you now. I'm going to be talking about some deep topics such as SA and a grape without the G and, people getting their,
Oh my god, dude, what the fuck?
Things like that. And some of this stuff is rough even for internet veterans like me. That being said, I'm going to try to be extremely careful to not get this video restricted like the last one. So I'm censoring a lot of words. I'm also tiptoeing and being careful with the way I word things because that's just what you have to do these days, unfortunately. So I'm going to be skipping a lot of entries.
I should have skipped this intro. Damn, bro. Come on. I'm just kidding.
Well, because they're either too inappropriate or they're just boring or I don't want this video to take up the whole rest of my 20s, all right? Because I have a feeling it's already going to be pretty long.
Should have just done like multiple parts. So.
I'm not going super in depth either on most of these topics just because, the reasons I gave just now. If you want to explore these topics further, Justin Wang, Nexpo, and the Debunk File have all done videos on pretty much every one of these topics. So
yeah, well, I don't know who they are. So.
To them. Oh, also, I know I said I wasn't going to do another Iceberg video. And second of all, I hyped this up saying this was going to be my last Iceberg video ever. Yeah, I was pretty explicit about that. But since YouTube shafted me on my last one, I decided
18 only. Criminal organization Iceberg. Whoa, you got nay-nayed, bro.
I was going to make another one.
See, that's the positive thing about shit posting. Like, that's what I do. I just post so much content that if I have a demonetized video, it annoys me, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter.
Because I want to go out with a bang, okay? If this is going to be my last Iceberg video, I want people to actually watch it. So let's stop wasting time with the intro and jump right in. The evil farming game. We're starting off pretty light with this one. So back in 2018, a post gained a lot of traction on the tip of my joystick subreddit. This guy was looking for a game that he played back in 2006, and he was saying it was similar to Stardew Valley, except with a twist. You murdered your wife and then tried to pretend like you never offed her. And this was the whole game. You keep farming and making sure nobody finds out you killed her. There was also a fishing minigame, and he specifically remembered fishing up evidence for
that sounds pretty cool.
Passing away. Another user in that thread pointed out that somebody else asked a similar question about 3 years before, and he said, I know almost nothing about this game. All I can remember is that it's similar to Harvest Moon, but with a dark twist. The game starts out with you and your wife. One night you get into a fight and you end up stabbing her. Now, the game revolves around you farming and trying to stay alive while trying to keep the town from finding out about the incident. Now, many people were intrigued by this game because honestly, it sounds cool as shit. So many Reddit users were scrambling trying to figure out what this mythical game could possibly be.
It does.
Some people said it could have been a Flash game. Others were saying it was maybe an RPG Maker game. One guy even suggested it could be a dream. Bro, I'm sorry, but if you're dreaming about playing farming sims, you really need to reevaluate your life.
I like how that he's like, if you're dreaming about playing farming sims, you gotta reevaluate. This game is about murdering your wife, and if the part that you're dreaming about fucking Sims is the problem, it's not like if you're dreaming about murdering your wife in a game for fun. That's what I was saying.
Highly doubt that this is true. Anyways, there was a lot of theories, and also a few people who said they also played similar games. But after many years of
I played a similar game, but you'll never find her body.
no luck, it was finally discovered what the game was. And it wasn't even a game at all. So back in June of 2015, the streamer Vinesauce Joel was streaming the game Global Defense Force when he came up with an idea for a creepy version of Harvest Moon.
It sounds like Harvest Moon, but with like corpses. It sounds like that'd be a fun game, just playing as Harvest Moon, but throughout all the gameplay, you gotta hide a dead corpse. You know what? No, fuck. You know what it is? Harvest Moon. It's just regular Harvest Moon with your wife, and midway in the game, you have an argument with your wife, and you accidentally kill her with I don't know, like a...
That's no fun. It would be cooler if you intentionally killed her.
A saw blade? No, fuck it. You kill her with like a barbecue kebab wreck. You impale her accidentally, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't mean that. And at the same time, as you gotta rescue, you gotta manage your farm, raise your chickens and milk the cows, you also gotta hide the body from the cops sometimes.
That sounds vaguely similar to the original description of the game by Sparta. Turns out Sparta admitted that he would frequently fall asleep to Vine Sauce videos. Will lather me up in pancake batter and suck me on a bed of lettuce. The dream guy was actually right the whole time. I would have never thought that. Now, this still doesn't explain all the other people who claim to have played this game, but
Maybe they did the same thing. Or maybe they just wanted to sound cool. I played that game too. Yeah, okay.
I think we can just chalk it up to some Mandela effect false memory bullshit. Colby 2012. This is referring to an Ask Reddit post with the title, I think my teenage son may have or dog. I'm not sure what to do. Help me, Reddit. Good grief, man. This is only the first layer? What the?
Not because I don't want to, because I know it annoys you guys when I eat, but it's because I'm fat, so I'm not going to eat. Just want you to know I'm not being sensitive to the people who are like, stop chewing on the butt. Fuck you. Oh, yeah.
Now, I blurred out one of the words in there, but I think you can figure out what it is through context clues. In case you need another clue, this act was very popular in the city of Sodom. Anyways, here's a very short rundown. This guy's dog was acting weird, so he decided to take it to the vet. The vet said that the dog got anally brutalized, so he started looking for clues, trying to figure out who could do this to a dog. While he was conducting his investigation, he went to his son's computer and noticed that he had been watching some, naughty videos, alright? Naughty videos involving animals. After confronting his son, he eventually fessed up to violating the dog with a hairbrush. So the dad decided he wasn't going to tell the kid's mom, and he was going to let his son go to a therapist, and hopefully this would all blow over. Spoiler alert, it did not blow over. The dad caught the son being inappropriate again a few months later, so he decided to get the mom involved this time. Now, the mom was obviously pissed that he kept this from her, and when she confronted her son, he denied everything. So she then flipped it around.
Yeah, I beat the fuck out of my kid. They suck a hairbrush in my dog. Shit, get the fuck out of here, bro.
On the husband and accused him of being the dog. But she would later come to find out that this was not the case because, surprise, surprise, there was another incident. This time, the dog decided to stand up for himself and bit the kid twice.
Nice.
At this point, the mom apologized for everything, but the dad decided he was going to move out with the dog. Now, the story stopped there for a while until the
He moved out with a dog. He chose a dog over his kid. Damn. I would have too, though. Kid fucking dogs. You think I'm gonna choose that kid? Fuck that kid.
dad gave an update
Not literally. Fuck the kid. Yeah.
a few years later, saying his relationship with his son had improved, but he no longer had any contact with his wife. Bro, I don't know if I could ever look at my son in the eye after that. Like, imagine hanging out with other dads and one's like, oh, my son's going to MIT. My son's gonna play baseball professionally, and then you're just like, oh, yeah, my son hasn't schtupped a dog in over a decade, huh? Pretty cool. Also, how bad is his wife?
He didn't actually fuck the dog. It looks like he just like fucked it with a brush, which is like weird. Not for nothing. Like, I'm not trying to be weird, but if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it with your. You might as well get something. What did you get out of that? You put a fucking hairbrush in the dog's ass. Like, you're gonna pick the dog up and comb your hair. Like, you might as well go for it. That's terrible. What kind of dog was it?
If he still talks to his son after stupping a dog, she must have done something really screwed up for him not to talk to her anymore. Anyways, let's move on, man. This is freaking gross. The key lime pie rabbit hole. This one is truly a rabbit hole. Like, I'm not even going to scratch the surface of this. Like, people have made hour-long videos on this topic, but I'm going to try to sum it up in less than 3 minutes.
Pie?
So,
Why?
starting back in 2009, there was a bunch of strange comments left on the comment sections of different blogs and forums. These comments were reviews of a restaurant called Coochie's Key West Cafe. Now, the weird thing about this is that Coochie's Cafe had been closed for 3 years before this person started posting, and the weirdness only just starts there. The poster also frequently mentioned their famous key lime pie, even though I've never heard of them, so they can't be that famous. And also, the place apparently
People never heard of me, but I'm famous. Kind of, I guess.
wasn't even known for their key lime pie. Like, they never even advertised it. They advertised like burgers and steaks and stuff, but never key lime pie. The accounts posting these comments typically had names of celebrities like Jimmy Buffett, and will continue to post until about 2017.
I honestly thought it said Jimmy Buffet when I read it before.
As the years went on, the comments got weirder and weirder and started taking on more sexual undertones. Let me give you an example.
If they explode you want, then cut your skill and pie you must eat. Increase blood capacity by 500 it will.
Now, there is a
Bro, what the fuck? Were we supposed to read that?
example.
Well, guys, okay. All the guys down at the gym have a secret for increasing their ejaculation load by up to 500% increase. Well, one day after a very rough workout, they called me aside and informed me that there is a very beautiful, lovely, gracious, sweet, sassy, sexy, and extremely talented young lady that bakes alongside with her sexy husband. Okay, this guy's weird. A magical key lime pie that will turn every married couple's love life into nothing short of a miracle. Anita Palliers, I don't care, is the one in a billion most special goddess that has the miraculous ability, along with her loving husband, I don't care what the name is, to bake the world's most immaculate key lime pie at their famous key lime pie factory and grill located in Asheville, NC, near the Baltimore House and Estate. Not only were they key lime... Okay, I'm fucking over this. This is just weird.
If they explode you want, then cut your skill and pie you must eat. Increase blood capacity by 500 it will.
Now, there is a ton of speculation about these posts. Theories range from an autistic guy in his basement typing nonsense to coded messages left by the CIA. And people of Reddit have dedicated a huge amount of time and effort into figuring out this mystery. They've also dedicated approximately 0 hours into getting bitches. 2 broken arms refers to a man who, stopped his mother. Now, this may bring up some trauma for certain people, so I suggest to skip ahead if you're sensitive to interfamily relations. Anyways, this kid had some sort of accident which left him without the use of his arms temporarily. Being unable to use his arms, the man could no longer, how do I say this without getting demon. Whack off. So he went from whacking his ding dong 2 times a day to 0 times a day. After a while, he got frustrated from the splooge buildup and started lashing out his parents. His mom figured out why he was irritable and decided to help him with his problem. Bro, this is only the first layer. Like, I already knew about all these
Sounds like a hentai. Sounds like a hentai video.
so far, but I am not excited to see what goes down deeper. Anyways, what started off as just assistance eventually turned to a full-blown entanglement with his mother. And to make matters even more effed up, the dad knew this was happening the whole time. Ugh.
Why don't you just get the kid a flashlight or something, you know?
Some Freudian bullshit, man. You know, I heard about this story a few years back, and it still makes me cringe in the worst way imaginable. Like, just don't whack off, man. Is it that hard not to whack off?
What do you think? Oh, your pee-pee is so much bigger than your father's. Oof. Imagine? Shit. That's horrible, bro. That's a horrible thing. Imagine it's true, though. Because I think about it. You guys don't understand this. This is something that I'm going to have to explain to you guys, and you don't really understand it. Right? So, it's a technique that you can use. People are going to... There's a technique that you have to use, that you can use, right? And it's called asserting dominance over your son, right? So as a man, your son, let's say your son's like 4 years old. They're taking a bath. You go in the bathroom and you go pee. Now, it sounds innocent, because it is. But the thing is that your son is going to see your wiener, right? They're just going to see it for a second while you're peeing. You leave. For the rest of your son's life, they're always going to think that your penis is bigger than theirs. It is an absolute alpha move, because now the kid's never going to fuck around with you. I'm being serious. They're always going to be like, that guy's a huge dick, and they're going to associate that wiener with power, and they're always going to respect you, right? The problem is if your wife is fucking your kid, you can't do that. All she's got to do is be like, oh, your wee-wee's bigger than your father's. That's it. You lose all your power. Psychological warfare. You'd have to understand it. Okay? It's very important. Right? It's like this story on TLC. There's a story on TLC. Somebody said, don't trust Poppy, he didn't have a father. There's a story on TLC, I think it's TLC, I don't remember what it was. But basically, like, the mother had the most amazing orgasm in her entire life when she gave birth to her first kid. That kid's set up forever, right? Because if the dad ever acts up, the dad can't play that game because the kid gave the mom the greatest orgasm she's ever had in her life. And you want to know what the fucked up part is? That she had another kid to try to have another amazing orgasm, didn't have an orgasm. She's going to hate that second son more than anything else in the entire world. Because she had a baby just to have an orgasm, didn't work. And then she's going to love the first son more than anything else. Isn't that insane? It's fucked up. That's a true story. It's fucked up, bro. It's fucked up. Meanwhile, when my mom birthed me, my head was wider than my shoulders. And I almost, I was going to say I almost put her in the hospital, but she was already there to give birth to me. But the doctor said that she's lucky she didn't break her pelvis. So, sorry, Mom. I guess that's why she used to hit me with a phone. One of those plastic phones back in the day.
It's not like you had a permanent disability, all right? It was just temporary. You can't whack off for a few weeks, you sick freak. Ugh.
I can't. I gotta get it out.
Poop scissors. I'm not even gonna touch this one. Go look it up for yourself if you're interested. All I'm gonna say is, it's exactly what it sounds like. Jolly Rancher.
Probably shoving those scissors up your butt?
No, absolutely not. Don't even look this one up, okay? I am serious. Do not look this up. As a matter of fact, this one is so bad that I'm going to talk about the poop scissors because it's so mild in comparison. Okay, poop scissors is pretty simple. This dude basically was taking massive gargantuan King Kong level dookies, and he would frequently clog the turlet. So to circumvent the clogging of the turlet, he would
What's on in the background?
Cut the doo-doo with a pair of scissors so that the turlet could handle it. What if I become? I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started this video, but committed now. Anyways, let's continue. The cum box and cum coconut. This one
was the Jolly Rancher one?
Cut the doo-doo, and he would frequently... It's pretty simple. That I'm going to talk about. Don't even look this one up. What it sounds like. Jolly Rancher. No. Committed now. Anyways, let's continue. The cum box and cum coconut. This one is 2 stories. The jizz box is referring to a young man who would relieve himself into a shoebox. Yeah. And he kept the shoebox for months until the shoebox gave birth to a disgusting shoebox human hybrid. Okay, that last part didn't happen, but there is a picture of the shoebox in question on the internet. It's pretty gross. The cum coconut is a separate tale of a young man who lived in a tropical area. So, when you live in a tropical area, what do? Exactly, you All
right. I think that this is the story of... I'm gonna do this one, okay? This is the Jolly Rancher. All right, Reddit. What is the grossest thing that's ever happened to you in a sexual encounter? Okay. Nothing tops the Jolly Rancher story. Steve and his girlfriend Samantha went off to college in August. She went to Florida State. He went to Penn. So she decides to fly to PA to visit him. He was really happy to see her, so he decided to give her some oral action. Okay. He had done this numerous times before, and he'd always enjoyed doing it. But for some reason, this time she smelled really horrible, and she tasted even worse. He didn't want to offend her, though, because he hadn't seen her in months. That's fair. So he put a Jolly Rancher in his mouth to cover it up, even though it didn't do much help. In the course of eating her out, he accidentally pushed the candy inside of her and stuck a finger in to grab it. He took it out, put it back in his mouth, and bit it. Only it wasn't the Jolly Rancher. Oh. It was a nodule of gonorrhea. As in, the blister-like structure that gonorrhea makes, filled with diseased pus, was the size of a fucking Jolly Rancher, and this poor guy bit it. I guess it was really dark in the room. He freaked out and started vomiting all over the place when it exploded in his mouth. He demanded to know what was going on, and it turns out she cheated on him at a club, like the first week of college, and fucked some random guy, and the stupid bitch had no clue what was wrong with her. She noticed a strange smell, though. So now Steve is freaking out that he's gonorrhea in the mouth. Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Coconuts. So this kid was stooping a coconut for a few weeks until he decided to move on to a younger, hotter coconut. But he wanted to have one last night of passion before he casted the coconut out. Skip forward 5 seconds because this next part is...
A coconut? Does it actually feel good? I'm just curious. Does it, though? Is it worth... Never mind.
You might want to skip...
Is it worth trying? I don't know.
Skip forward 5 seconds because this next part is pretty disgusting.
If I skipped forward 5 seconds when you said that, it would have skipped to you talking about it.
Basically, a colony of maggots had...
All right, we're done.
formed in the coconut, and when he began to initiate the entanglement, I think you can guess what happened.
Oh, that's nasty.
Useless 319.
You know what's fucked up, man? Is that, like, honestly, like, there are people who do that for, like, a fetish. It's fucked up.
I'm gonna tiptoe around this one as much as possible. Useless 319 is the classic tale of a man shooting a schlong off with a revolver. Yes, you heard me right. Reddit user Useless 319.
Bro, this is only 12 minutes into the video. How is it already this intense? I don't. This is horrible.
Shot his manhood 4 times in order to sever it. He then proceeded to have sausage for dinner, if you know what I'm saying. Now, why did he do this? Well, because he believed that if he did this, he would save the world from a nuclear apocalypse brought on by North Korea.
Shit, bro. Let me just tell you something. If I had to shoot my dick off and eat it to stop an apocalypse, we're all dead. I don't give a fuck, brother.
Now, all of this was brought on by a bad DMT trip, okay? So do not listen to Joe Rogan when he says DMT is like the greatest thing ever.
N-dimethyltryptamine, which is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. Have you done that? Alex, have you ever done DMT? No. Do you want to? You've done regular DMT too, right?
Yes.
I had a crazy dream last night that was, I had DMT trip in my dream.
Eric and Annie. Shout out to Debunk File for making a great in-depth video on this. I'm going to spend a little more time on this one than on other entries because it's one of the few entries on this list that isn't horrendously inappropriate, so let's get into it. This one involved Reddit users Eric R and another little piece, aka Annie. Eric and Annie met through Reddit on this post made by Eric where he invited people on Reddit to go get some pizza for a meetup. Him and his wife had recently broken up after 15 years of marriage and he didn't want to get pizza alone, which is understandable. Then Annie was...
That's pathetic. Just go on Tinder and start slamming. I know I'm fucking... Poosh. You know, I'm very happily married and I love my wife. But I know that I'm at the time of my life where I could get the most fucking pussy I could ever get in my entire life, bro. It's fucked up. Isn't that how it works, man? When you are the most, like, able to do something, that's when you don't want to do it anymore? It's crazy.
Responded to this post by saying, "You seem like someone I'd get along with if we were coworkers or friends. I think sometimes it would be nice to talk platonically about mutually interesting topics with someone here and more than just a comment or two." She went on to clarify the platonically part by saying, "You probably saw that I have a significant other. I'm loyal to a fault and would never give him pause. So the correspondence would need to be in public Reddit threads of some sort, meaning no PMs, emails, or the such. I'm on Reddit often, but not in any scheduled ways. So I would see your message, and if I was free to respond, I would do so as time allows." After this, they would create threads on the r/let's chat subreddit where they would have one-on-one conversations publicly. They referred to these threads as branches, and as soon as one branch would get archived, they would create another one and carry on their conversation there. If you're unfamiliar with Reddit, after about 6 months or so, threads get archived, which means nobody can comment anymore and they're just read-only. So they would create these threads, talk in them. After about 6 months, they would get archived and then create a new thread or branch. These branches would carry on for years, and Eric and Annie would have tens of thousands of posts between the two of them. Now, after reading some of these messages, it was clear that these people loved each other, man. Like, reading through their messages feels kind of weird, like you're reading through somebody's personal texts. Now, these chats were going just fine for a while until one day Eric brings up his current significant other. Annie then responds with this long message saying things like, "For me, I just don't think I can go along," or whatever is the right word.
Bro, what the fuck? This is so weird. But this is why, like, what are you doing? This is why anytime somebody says that they're on a thing to talk to people just for friends, they're full of shit. Okay, you think I let my fucking wife go on to Reddit and be like, "Hey guys, I want to have somebody to talk to, but just for friends." Bitch, you get to go fucking go outside. Go find a friend at work. I ain't letting you do this shit. Fuck out of here. All right, and she wouldn't let me do this because that's weird. Okay, if you don't have anybody, you don't have a partner, you do your thing, brother. But you think I'm gonna let my fucking? What are you doing? Oh, let me talk to him. And then how did he let it go on for so long? I guess he just didn't know. It's just crazy.
And she ends the message by saying, I realize that it's very likely that you're only offering a friendly and supportive ear to this woman, but life is life and you are you, and you are the most exceptionally incredible man I know you to be. And things happen, and I think I have to wait for SL to be with you through all things. I don't know if I'm strong enough for TL. I can keep talking to you for tonight. This isn't my last message tonight, but I just can't. She would also go on to say in another separate message, I just am not able to hear of you with other women without hurting myself. Now, when she said, I think I have to wait for SL to be with you through all things, SL is referring to Second Life, which is something that was frequently brought up between the two of them. Kind
like
of
the game?
Ominous in a way. Anyways, after going back and forth for a while with Eric trying to convince her to continue the chats, she leaves this cryptic message. I turn away from here. All my everything I can send, first, last, and everything. Man, that was also ominous, but this would be the last post Annie would ever make on Reddit. But this didn't stop Eric from creating new branches and hoping one day Annie would return. For 2 years following that comment from Annie, Eric posted 4 branches, one every few months directed towards her. The last one of these was posted in December of 2017 titled, The Last Branch Eric Can Make for Annie. In this, he seems to finally accept the situation and says, my time to write messages in your direction is coming to an end. It's pretty hard to face, but I've needed to face it for more than 2 years. And 5 years. You've been part of my world for 5 years now. Thank you for every moment of it. Fuck, man, I thought this was a disturbing Reddit post, Iceberg, not the shit that makes me want to cry, Iceberg.
Losers, just got him. I'm just kidding, that's very sad.
Anyways, he stopped posting after this, so a lot of people speculated that Eric may have ended himself. But then 2 years later in
or maybe he just stopped using fucking Reddit. Like, what the
2019, he randomly commented on this Ask Reddit post, asking about how people come up with their usernames. So I hope Eric is still alive, and I wish him the best. He sounds like a stand-up guy. Swamps of Dagobah.
Probably like a fucking serial killer, bro.
Ugh, dude, this one is really disgusting.
Swamps of Dagobah?
So there was an
That
ER
sounds
nurse
cool as
who had a
hell.
rather large patient come in one day
Star
with severe
Wars.
abdominal pain. This
All
patient
right, now I know where it's going, bro. This is disgusting.
injected drogas via her booty hole, and the injection site got infected, and I'll just read the rest directly from the post. The surgeon steps up with the scalpel and sinks just the tip in. Just the tip.
I get it, because of penis.
And at the exact same moment, the patient had a muscle twitch in her diaphragm, and just like that, all hell broke loose. Unbeknownst to us, the infection had actually tunneled nearly a foot into her abdomen, creating a vast cavern full of pus, rotten tissue, and fecal matter that had seeped outside of her colon. The godforsaken mixture came rocketing out of that little incision like we were recreating the funeral scene from Jane Austen's Mafia. She goes on to say, we all wear waterproof gowns, face masks, gloves, hats, the works, all of which were about as helpful as rain boots against the fire hose. As the surgeon continued to advance his blade, the torrent just continued. The patient kept seizing, and with every muscle contraction, one shot more of this blackish gray fluid out into the floor until within minutes it was seeping into the other nurse's shoes. The nurse compared the outcome to being in the swamps of Dagobah, but with no Yoda.
Sounds kind of hot.
Oh, disgusting that shit is. A shower I require. Lake City Quiet Pills. This mystery begins with a Reddit post by user 26. The end of Religion of Peace. He died today. I'm the person who provided Religion of Peace a space for that old guy's image host. Milo died today. He was 79 years old. He died at his desk looking at your site. Milo was a mean old fucker. Mean and ornery. He hooked me up with my first gig when I just got out of the army, and I didn't like finding him like that. Milo didn't have any living relatives and no real friends, other than his landlady and a few people where he worked. I don't know what else to say. I'll miss him, miserable bastard. Now, this fella, Religion of Peace, aka Milo, he was kind of a scummy guy, and he was the moderator of the r/jailbait subreddit. He also owned the website That Old Guy's Image Host, also known as LakeCityQuietPills.com. That website has since been taken down, but it used to be an image hosting site similar to Imgur or PhotoBucket. Now, you guys remember PhotoBucket? Comment below if you're old enough to remember PhotoBucket. Now, what the heck is Lake City Quiet Pills? Well, if you look at another one of Milo's comments, it might give us some insight. Of course there are assassinations. There are some things that the legal system can't fix. I can think of any number of criminal organizations that would benefit from a dose of Lake City Quiet Pills. So based off of this comment, you can deduce that Lake City Quiet Pills is code for assassination or ending somebody, something like that. Either that or Viagra, okay. I don't know, I failed reading comprehension to be honest. Now, remember the guy who posted about Milo's passing, Reddit user 26? Well, a couple of presumably autistic gentlemen found an account on the website.
Why are they autistic? Why are so many people autistic? I don't understand. Like, what the fuck? Is this like a running joke? I don't understand.
Fork.com by the name of Angel26. Just a coincidence, right? Except, look at his bio. Dispensing Lake City Quiet Pills to bastards in need of permanent rest since 1968. It's kind of weird, right? Well, to make things even more weird, somebody found out that if you look at the source code of that old guy's image host website, there was a hidden chat room right there in the HTML. Most of the messages in this chat room seem to be for jobs. Jobs that involve making people disappear. These messages were coded, but people were able to decipher most of them. One message in particular said this: we're having a birthday party for the old man on the 19th. Party starts at 3 p.m. the usual. They also mentioned that the phones in the hotel were not secure. You know what else happened on the 19th at exactly 3 p.m.? The assassination of Hamas officer Mahmoud al-Mabouh in a hotel room. Holy smokes, man, this story has more twists and turns than the fucking Rainbow Road. Oh, and by the way, the term Lake City Quiet Pill is actually slang for bullets. See, Lake City Army...
Well, I figured a quiet pill just meant you're going to take somebody out forever, yeah.
Okay. The ammunition plant is one of the largest producers of ammo in the United States, so that's where the name comes from. Shampoo bottle. This one isn't that crazy. A guy stuffed the shampoo bottle. That's about it. Vagina bacon.
That's it? Why? Okay.
No, just No. Brandy Worley / Jason in Hell. This one is
What is vagina bacon?
heartbreaking, so I'll keep it short. A user by the name of Jason in Hell posted in the relationship advice sub asking for advice on what to do about his cheating wife. Basically, his wife has cheated on him with his neighbor. He confronted her in front of the neighbor and the neighbor's girlfriend, saying he was going to leave her. She responded that if he does that, she'll make sure he never sees his kids again. A lot of people give him the advice to get a lawyer immediately and divorce her no-good trifling ass, and he took that advice because it was good advice. Unfortunately, this would lead to his wife taking the lives of her 2 children and attempting to take her own life. Let's move on. Scott Clischulte. Back in 2016, somebody asked on Ask Reddit, those who have accidentally killed somebody, what went wrong? Now, there were a lot of crazy responses, but we're going to be talking about one in particular. Now, I could not find this original comment anywhere as it was immediately deleted, but luckily somebody reposted it on another Reddit post. This still haunts me to this day. As kids, we had a hideout in this dirt cliff / cove. This is the best approximation I could find on Google. Only 3 times taller and probably 10 times as wide. There was a neighborhood kid
It's bacon made from the extra skin on a vagina. Oh, great.
who, in hindsight, was probably mentally handicapped in some way. But to us, he was just a weird / creepy kid. This was the 80s and we weren't exactly raised PC. 3 of us were headed out to our base and we found the creepy kid sitting on top of our guard chair. We yelled at him to get out and he said something like, "Make me," and started lobbing dirt clods and sticks down at us. We all ran around the side to make our way up. It gets pretty fuzzy here, but all I remember is he fell. I still remember the sound. We got back down to check on him and he was very awkward position with blood coming out of his mouth. We all just freaked out and ran home. And as far as I know, no one has spoken a word of this to anyone. We didn't go back for over a month and we never said a word of it between us. Again, this was the 80s, so no media wasn't like... Again, this was the 80s, so media wasn't like today. Chances are it got a small article in the newspaper B section. Mentally handicapped disabled child found after fall, something like that. Now, people looked through this guy's
That's
post history
terrible.
at the time and saw that he was from Missouri. They also found this missing persons report for a boy named Scott Clischulte. Some of the information definitely matches up, including the date, location, and age of the child. Also, the description OP gave of that cliff / cove area matches up with an area very near to where Scott was last seen.
Right 5 minutes from our house was nothing. Farmlands and fields and dirt trails and stuff like that.
Now, is this definitive proof? No, absolutely not. But it seems pretty likely to me, and it's crazy how mother suckers on Reddit are more effective than actual detectives. The power of too much free time, man. The man who ate his own foot. I think for this one I can just read the post since it's not that long. Hi all, I'm a man who ate a portion of his own amputated leg. Ask me anything. So, the quick and dirty. About 2 years ago, I was hit on my motorcycle, then salvaged my foot, but I would never be able to walk on it, so I elected to have it amputated instead. I asked the doctors to keep it, I signed some papers, I got it back. And with the help of some friends, I cooked a portion of the tibialis anterior. Proof. Foot tacos. More proof. Me and my stump. Dang, this gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, foot in your mouth.
Dude, that's fucking insane. Why would you do that? What the fuck?
What am I doing?
Could you imagine, like, the other friends eating it too? Oh my god, that's fucking weird. What happens if you got addicted to cannibal meat, like, or human meat, and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking eat this? And you're sitting there and you're like, you know what I mean? That's fucking insane.
Title mimer. A user known as Naruto posted this meme on the Advice Animal subreddit with the title, "Finally, I have the guts to say it," confessing to a Breaking Bad style murder of his sister's boyfriend. Now, it was very likely
Hold on, I'm gonna read it. My sister had an abusive meth addict boyfriend. I killed him with his own drugs while he was unconscious, and they ruled it as an overdose. Okay.
title, "Finally, I have the guts to say it," confessing to a Breaking Bad style murder of his sister's boyfriend. Now, it was very likely that this was just a joke, but that didn't stop people from getting all the guy's information and sending it to the FBI. Later on, Naruto would clarify that the meme was a joke, but he also said there's some truth behind it. But I'm not saying what was true and what wasn't. Well, this just goes to show that confessing to a murder through a meme on Reddit is not a good idea. I'm always trying to tell people
Yeah, like, why? If you're gonna do it, like, don't admit it. You know what I mean?
this. My mom poisoned me, so this kid is telling a story about how he was from a very protective family. None of his family members wanted him to even get a job once he became an adult. But eventually, he found a good job in another city and decided to move. His family, particularly his mother, did not take it well, but he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna move, and if you don't like it, you can suck both my ass cheeks simultaneously." Okay,
Hey, sounds like the mother from the story earlier, where she would help the kid jerk off. So
maybe he didn't use those words specifically, but that's a word
I hope not.
I would use.
Same
Anyways,
guy?
His
I
mother
don't
gave him
know.
some food, including
I mean, it makes sense. It could be the same person. You think about it, because the mother is really close to the kid, and she's been, helping him wank off for a while. This sounds like a part 2, a continuation of that story.
2 cups of ramen noodles. The weird thing is, the paper lid on the ramen noodle cup was torn off, but he didn't think anything of it. Once he arrived in his new city, he ate one of the ramens and immediately began to feel weird. He said he felt lightheaded and weak. He also
She gave him COVID. This is how COVID
said
started.
that he remembered feeling the exact same way a few years back after eating something his sister gave him. He was suspicious that he got poisoned, so he took a cyanide test kit, which came back positive. He tried going to the police with this information, but unfortunately, there's nothing he could do about it. Man, talk about a weird family reunion, huh? Red is Blue 101. On April 28th, 24-year-old Melinda Vasilia's life was cut short by her boyfriend Agar Mohsen Hassan. After the slaying, Hassan would go on the run, and during his evasion of the police, he made a long post on Reddit about the situation. In this post, he claimed that him and Melinda got into an argument, and she began to hit him. At one point, she pulled out a knife and attacked him with it. He grabbed another knife, and in a state of pure shock, he struck her a few times. He claimed he had no intention of this happening, and that he was just protecting himself. That's pretty much all there is with this one. Pretty sad. The Whistler. This one is creepy as shit.
So why not
and
just
I
call the police at that point?
hate creepy stuff, man. That's why I never look in the mirror. Anyways, somebody asked on Reddit, what is the creepiest thing that has actually happened to you? The top comment is by user BingBong1234.
Bing bong!
When Bing Bong was 8 years old, he was walking his dog with his mom around 11 p.m. at night. Okay, bro, let me stop you right there. Have you never seen a horror movie? Walking your dog late at night is a surefire way for some creepy shit to happen, okay?
Unless you live in a white area, then you're fine. Let's be honest.
Okay? Anyways, he was walking his dog when all of a sudden he hears a strange whistling sound, which he said sounded human-like, but also bird-like in a way. He said his mom had a terrified look on her face and quickly grabbed his hand, and they both ran back to the house.
So him and his mom and the dog?
2 years later, he was walking his dog late at night again. Don't you learn your lesson? How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, young man? Anyways, on his walk, he heard the same whistling sound. And at this point, you could probably guess there was nothing left in his colon, and he ran back into his house again. Okay, if you couldn't tell, I'm gonna be making a lot of jokes in this one because I'm creeped out. Anyways, years went by, and he hadn't heard the whistle again until 14 years later. Bing Bong moved to South Dakota with his girlfriend, and on the 4th of July, he went to a river with his lady, and he saw a strange figure out in the distance rowing on the water. The person on the boat then started whistling at him. It was the
The editing is weird. Like sometimes he'll like double say something. It's funny.
exact same whistle he had heard in his childhood over 10 years ago. The guy kept getting closer and closer to him and started whistling directly at him. OP was so startled that he stood up and shouted, "Who are you?" But the figure didn't say anything. Just whistled a few more times, turned the canoe around, and paddled out of sight. And if you think this one might just be a load of malarkey, he posted a video of the guy. Okay, let's move on.
Here, show us the video? The fuck?
Likely heroin addict, this is a tale about a young man who spontaneously bought some H while walking through the seedy part of downtown one day. He made an AMA titled, "I did heroin yesterday, but I'm not a drug user and I've never done anything besides pot back when I was a teen." AMA. Now this kid had a pretty good life, he had a master's degree, a good paying job, and he felt like being a little crazy for once in his life. But I think he skipped like 8 steps and went straight to snorting H. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I want to do something crazy, I like...
Yeah, you usually would start with coke, you know?
sleep without the TV on, because there's nothing crazier than being alone with my own thoughts. Anyways, he said it was basically the best thing ever, and he ended the post by saying, "Please, no more comments telling me I'm gonna be a homeless addict dying of an overdose now. Don't lecture me with all of your misconceptions and lack of any real knowledge or experience about the drug." And you know, this quote is interesting because he would become addicted 2 weeks later. Seriously, after 2 weeks, this guy was already injecting the stuff and spending most of his money on H. Now, a lot of people were accusing him of trolling because, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to be fair, but the man had receipts. I'm not gonna post the photo here, but he had receipts. Anyways, not a year after his initial foray into H.
What do you have, like a bunch of holes in him? Because now I test myself for diabetes, so I have holes too, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's just diabetic.
This man had already OD'd and was admitted to a mental hospital. He also claimed to have passed away briefly and was brought back in the hospital. See, man, this is why you should never do drugs. I mean, look at me. I don't do drugs. Well, besides that time I got addicted to nitrous oxide. But hey, I kicked that nitrous oxide addiction, and since then I don't do any drugs. I barely even drink. And look at me. Sexy as shit. Anyways, the guy later revealed in another Reddit post that he was 6 years clean and got his life back on track. He stated in his update post, "I know I can look back objectively and say that things probably weren't as good and normal before I tried heroin that one time, as I made it seem in that first post. I would have never tried it if things were truly going well for me." A good point, man. If you're ever feeling like your life is shit, turning to drugs is probably the worst thing you can do. You just gotta raw dog that shit and go to therapy, man. That's the only solution. But anyways, PSA over. Shout out to Spontaneous H for getting his life back under control. You're an absolute Chad for that. Mysterious stores. The Reddit user Iceman Throwaway 123 made a post about 12 mysterious and identical stores open on my street. What could be happening? In the post, he had said a bunch of stores in his areas closed down, and not too long after, 12 new stores all sprung up in their place. He said the stores are...
You know what's crazy? Same thing happened around here, but it was all like hospitals. You know what I mean? It was all like the hospitals in the area. They bought like all the land and they just put up a bunch of fucking doctors' offices. Shit's crazy.
Are all similar to each other and have generic names like Town Mart. They also only accept cash. Most of their products are expired food products. Now, I believe I have some familiarity with what's going on here. You see, I used to work at a cash business with my Uncle Tony back in high school, and if this is what I think it is, the guy who posted this potentially got whacked. Allegedly. I was in a cult. In 2017, using a throwaway account, a user gave his account of how he accidentally joined the cult. He said that he was in college...
Did we move... What happened?
Tony back in high school. Products. Now, I believe each other and have generic...
Okay. Is this the same story?
Names like Town Mart. They also only accept cash. Most of their products are expired food products. Now, I believe I have some familiarity with what's going on here. You see, I used to work at a cash business with my Uncle Tony back in high school, and if this is what I think it is, the guy who posted this potentially got whacked. Allegedly. I was in a cult. In 2017, using a throwaway account, a user gave his account of how he accidentally joined the cult. He said that he was in college and he was
We just kind of moved on from that story. I feel like there's not... They opened up a bunch of fake businesses and then killed the guy? Is that what they did? We have money laundering. Sounds makes more sense.
From severe depression. To help with this, he joined a group therapy session, and during one of these sessions, he had a guest that spoke to the group. The man who he called Bob pitched him a 5-week-long group therapy holiday with fun activities as well as counseling sessions.
Cool.
He also said it was completely covered by the school, so it would be free. So the OP gave Bob his contact information, and he went home trying to convince his parents to let him go on the trip. At first, they were hesitant, but then Bob showed up at his house unexpectedly. Okay, man, that's a red flag right there, right off the bat. But let's continue. Bob convinced OP's parents to let him go, and they agreed. And the parents signed some documents.
Dude, Bob is a fucking creep. Well, I would be like, nah, it's an instant no to me.
Days later, he was on his way. At first, when he arrived, everything seemed normal. The campsite was huge. There was a lot of kids around his same age, and counselors were friendly. Everything was going good at first. But then things started to get weird. First of all their belongings, including their phones and their clothes, were taken. They weren't allowed to have any contact with their parents or anyone in the outside world, and they all had to wear matching tracksuits everywhere. Again, that's another red flag right there. The only people who wear matching tracksuits are cults and Eastern European hoodlums. They even forced kids to sleep in these tracksuits in the middle of summer. And if that wasn't bad enough, they had to swim in these tracksuits too. During meals, Bob would say prayers to the gods, and OP initially brushed this off as Bob being inclusive towards everybody's religions, but then he started saying weird stuff like, the gods will show us the way to the end. Huh? Eventually, OP snuck out of the group therapy session into the main building. He used one of the phones to call his house and tell his parents to pick him up. Then that night, he ran out of the camp to his parents who were waiting just outside. Some of the group leaders chased him to his parents' car and told his parents that he couldn't leave because they signed a contract. But OP's dad told him to go suck themselves, and then he peeled out. The next day, the group's leaders showed up to OP's house and tried to take him back to the camp. And they said that they would not leave without him. They would continue to stalk him all summer, and one day they physically tried to kidnap him. But somebody called the police, and all of the group leaders were arrested. One of the leaders, who OP called Todd,
why didn't they call him sooner? That's what I would have done.
Backed himself while out on bail. After that fiasco, OP and his family were forced to leave town and change their names to escape this cult. And then he stated in another comment, "I'm scared of even Googling the group name, as I know that if they track me down, it would not end well. I hope you all understand the position I'm in and know that for my family and my own protection, I can't give any more information than that." And as if all of that wasn't crazy enough, 5 days later after the initial post, he commented this: "This is not true. I was part of a therapy group that specializes in helping teenagers with mental health problems. I was not in a cult. Since then, I've decided to rejoin the group. I will answer no further questions on this matter." Pretty ominous, man. I think there's
Bro, get the fuck out of here. That's crazy.
3 possibilities here. 1, one of the cult members hacked him and posted that. 2, he was forced to write that under duress. Or 3, it's fake. Nexpo did a pretty good video on this if you want to know more. Late night recordings. Dude, this one is so creepy I don't even want to talk about it, but I gotta give the people what they want. That being said, I'm gonna keep it short. So this woman had an app on her phone that records your nighttime noises so it can detect sleep apnea and stuff like that. One day she's going through her recordings and opens one, and in this particular recording, you can hear some clicks that get louder and louder over the course of the recording. And eventually you can hear her say, "What are you doing?" followed by a deep voice that says, "Nothing." The clicks keep getting louder, and later in the recording you can hear the other voice say, "That's them." Now, she said the only people in her house that day were her and her 3-year-old child. If you're doubting this story, she posted the original voice recording, and feel free to listen to that shit. I'm not gonna
No thank you. No thanks, bro.
do it because I feel like getting some sleep tonight, but you go ahead. So after recording this video portion, I decided that I was gonna get some balls and actually listen to it and play it for you guys, so here it is.
Bro, I said no! I said no, Dantavius. I don't want to listen to this. This isn't what I didn't load this video up so I could listen to this fucking bullshit, bro. I don't want to hear it. I'm turning it down. Alright, guys.
What are you doing?
Dang, man, is it just me, or does that sound kind of sound like cheeks being clapped? Datura. Datura is a poisonous flower which has psychoactive effects when ingested. Ingestion of this plant can cause dry mouth.
I'm not scared. I don't care.
Muscle stiffness,
Urinary retention, confusion, amnesia, bizarre thoughts, violent behavior,
and the loss of ability to differentiate between fantasy and reality. So, I think it's safe to say that this is not a party drug. In fact, the overwhelming majority of those who use Datura describe their experience as extremely
Datura sounds like a fucking diarrhea medication.
mentally and physically unpleasant and potentially dangerous. Despite this, some dumb schmucks still insist on doing it. One dumb schmuck in particular decided to post about it on Reddit. Finally, got my hands on some Datura. How much should I take? Now, despite basically everybody in the thread trying to convince him not to take it, he was dead set on tripping balls. Yeah, I know, man. I've been reading about the effects for a couple of days now. It isn't trippy like hallucinogens, but will make you delirious. Reading some of the stories about people talking to imaginary people and reading books that don't exist makes me want to do it still. You're a schmuck, kid. You hear me? A schmuck. So, he goes through with it and takes quite a lot. And the next day he comments this: Google.com, how normal again, stop now. He also commented on a random post in r/gaming subreddit saying, "Please, these big dog are fighting not okay. Yeah, don't do drugs." This was the last comment this account would ever post. But anyways, I hope he's okay. Like, we all do dumb things when we're young, so hopefully he's good and he learned his lesson. Carl H., also known as Carl Harold, was a Reddit user who was very active in the r/learn programming subreddit, where he would help beginners learn how to code. He also had his own subreddit, r/Carl H. Programming, along with a website, computerscienceforeveryone.com. And he had a YouTube channel dedicated to programming tutorials. He was even once awarded Redditor of the Day due to his efforts in helping others.
That's
now,
cool.
Despite his online persona as a nice guy who educated aspiring programmers, Carl was an absolute monster. Like, no joke, this guy was a horrible, disgusting human being. He was in prison in 2013 for things that would make even Jeff Epstein blush. I don't even want to talk about this scumbag anymore because it's raising my blood pressure. Let's move on. Intruder is referring to this post. Got a notification from my smart home app in the middle of the night saying your doorbell detected a visitor with this image. What you
Bro, that was fucking creepy.
thought I was gonna do a creepy video with no jump scare? Get the fuck out of here. You/Daryl Pratt. Back in 2016, a Reddit user named Daryl Pratt began making a bunch of weird posts such as, "I'm an 18-year-old male and need help getting a 26-year-old girl on the internet to like me. Please help me, I'm desperate." And
Sus.
"Can I get in trouble for sending a girl love letters?" Oh, and of course this gem. "If somebody bans me on Facebook and I make another account and pretend to be someone else, can I get in trouble?" These posts were directed at YouTuber Alana Pierce, and she gave an account of her experiences with this fella in a video on her channel.
So he was just a guy who would comment on my social feeds regularly, and I didn't really think anything of it. He was telling a lie where I was like, this is getting a little uncomfortable, and I slowly started to block him off my social media, kind of one by one, based on stuff he was saying. But the thing that officially crossed the line and made me block him off of Facebook, which is the place where he was most active in talking to me, I think outside of YouTube, was that I got my eyebrows tattooed and I shared that on Snapchat. But he ended up going on IGN videos which is the company that I work for. And if people would say something nice about me, he would reply to them and be like, she got her eyebrows tattooed. Basically, he was incredibly angry that someone he had put on an unrealistic pedestal had done something to themselves that he didn't like.
Now,
What does that mean, get your eyebrows tattooed? Does that mean you shave your eyebrows off and you get a tattoo there so that you could have like permanent mascara? Is that the word? Permanent eyebrow, permanent poop, permanent stuff? You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's what it is. That sounds fucking stupid. Women are dumb.
after she made that video and kept blocking him, Daryl made a bunch of ominous posts saying he was going to whack himself, but thankfully it seems like that didn't happen. According
Dude, I whack myself every night. I whack myself off. Not every night. Sometimes twice a day. Sometimes not for a week. You know what I mean? It depends on what I'm feeling.
to Nexpo himself, he seems to have moved on, spending time with family, and can be confirmed to be alive. Man, shout out to Daryl. Simping is one of the hardest addictions to kick, almost as hard as nitrous oxide. Trust me, I would know. Decomposing fetish. I'm gonna spare you guys the details on this one, but basically, this was a I didn't know I was pregnant situation, and an extremely obese woman didn't know she was pregnant, and well, decomposing fetus. Quantum.
Hey, that's why we gotta hate fat people. They're disgusting. I'm just kidding. Sometimes they smell though. I remember when I was in high school, and then somebody complimented me. They said, Papa got, because he didn't. That's my name. He said, you don't smell. Most fat people smell, and that was a compliment back then. Did you imagine that? Your compliments, you don't smell like shit. You're one of the good ones, Papa got. Crazy.
Immortality. Now, this is an insanely complex topic, which I'm probably way too dumb to explain, but I'll take a crack at it. Now, the theory of quantum immortality involves two other concepts. One is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which basically says that there's an infinite number of worlds or dimensions or universes, whatever you want to call them, and they run parallel to our own, and every possible outcome of an event is happening in one of these worlds. So, it's kind of like the multiverse in MCU. The second concept...
Imagine that's true, and like we're living in our best case scenario, and like everybody here, could you imagine that? How much of a mind fuck would it really be if like everybody was living their best universe and then everybody else was just like the like supporting character to that? And I'm sitting here right now on my stream talking to you guys, but like it's meaningless. Like I'm just talking, this is just this fucking, you know what I mean? Like how empty would that be? That'd be crazy. Nothing I do matters. That makes me sad, bro. That fucks me up a little bit.
You need to be familiar with is Schrodinger's cat. So according to this thought experiment, if you place a cat inside of a box with something that could kill it, curiosity for example, you wouldn't know if the cat was alive or dead until you open the box. Let me give you an example.
Not if I fucking threw the box in the lake. Then I'll know it's dead.
My dad went out to get milk when I was 3 years old. Until I see my dad again, I won't know if he actually got the milk or not. So he both has the milk and doesn't have the milk. But according to Schrodinger's box, I haven't seen that bastard in 17 years. Where are you, Dad? Do you have the milk? Anyways, quantum immortality is kind of like Schrodinger's cat, but from the point of view of the cat. Let's say Schrodinger is a psychopathic cat killer and he's outside a box with a button. Every time he hits the button, the cat has a 50-50 chance of living or not. If the cat dies, it's unaware that it died. Its consciousness just ends. If it lives, its consciousness lives on. According to quantum immortality, every time Schrodinger hits that button, it creates two worlds, two timelines. There will always be a timeline where the cat is alive, a timeline where the cat's consciousness lives on.
That's cool, man. Let's hope. It's possible because I literally overdosed on weed. I know that sounds crazy. It took like 200 milligrams in a fucking edible. I feel like I was gonna die, and I'm alive still, so it's possible. It's possible.
Therefore, it's impossible for the cat to ever actually die in the grand scheme of things. That probably made no fucking sense, but here's where it gets dark, in our timeline at least. A Reddit user by the name of AFH43 found out about this theory on Reddit, and it really messed with his head. In a span of 4 days, he made 14 posts regarding quantum immortality, and these posts are pretty disturbing. Things like, the theory of quantum immortality has driven me to a state of pure anxiety and terror over the last week. Is it true? Has it been debunked? I can't do this anymore.
Dude, that's crazy. What's really interesting is that like this theory, in order to like really dive your brain into it, because my first thought was like, dude, just turn off. Who cares? Like, don't even give fuck the theory. Nothing matters. You know what I mean? Just like move on. Forget it ever happened. We talk a lot about how you can't overdose on weed. Okay, shut your fucking mouth, bro. Anyway, it's called greening out. Suck my dick. Anyway, figuratively, because you're probably a kid. Anyway, it's interesting because we're having a lot of mental health problems as adults. We're having more mental health problems now than ever. And part of the reason we always talk about it is like, oh, maybe it's like capitalism, blah, 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 blah. Capitalism, or my dad hurt me and we have no dads. Bro, maybe it's because we're so much more educated now and we're so aware of ourselves that we can't just chill out. Right? Like people who are constantly anxious tend to be more intelligent because they're just thinking about everything. But like dumb fucking people, they don't think about shit. And they're not worried about the consequences of their actions. They're too stupid to fucking think. They're still focusing on breathing. All their mental capacity. I think that might be it, bro. Saying.
The theory of quantum immortality has driven me to a really dark place. I'm living in a state of pure terror. Is there any reason to believe that it is true? Existential crisis. It won't stop. I need help. I can't do this anymore. His last post was quantum immortality. I'm myself soon. It's just too much. I can't do it anymore. Fuck, man. This is horrible because, I've had a few existential crises in my day and it is not fun. So I hope he got the help he needed. U/Cypro. U/Cypro is a Redditor who performed the surgery on herself for the stupidest fucking reason ever. So she posted.
I gave herself a BBL. It's all the rage now. Brazilian butt lift. Booty. Big booty.
On the r/cornbeef approved subreddit, and this sub is a whole nother can of worms. If you're curious and want to check it out, please don't. Anyways, this Cypro fella, or lady, I should say, made a post with the title, "Cut out the fat in cheek, then ate it." She was saying that she recently bought a motorcycle, but the helmet wouldn't fit on account of her big, fat, juicy David Dobrik cheeks. So instead of buying another helmet like a
David Dobrik
normal human being, this psycho decides to do plastic surgery on herself and cut out part of her cheek. I'll spare you the gory details, but she accomplished her goal of removing the fat in her cheek and then proceeded to put it on a sandwich. She later left this comment. "People concerned over my mental health. Please, I don't need your 2 cents. My mental health is fine. I'm not depressed. I don't have a body image issue. I just enjoy pain and pushing myself to my limits. And hey, it was fun. That's basically the only reason I do anything." See,
that's fucked, bro.
This is the shit that happens when you have no hobbies. Houston Horror Hotel. A person posted on the Houston subreddit asking about a specific room at the Hotel Zaza near downtown Houston. One of his colleagues was somehow given this weird room that was about half the size of a regular room and had a very strange decor. Pictures of skulls everywhere, weird creepy paintings, no carpet, and what looks to be like a two-way mirror chained to a brick wall.
What the fuck?
Man, I don't care how big the discount was. This is not my idea of a relaxing stay. The weirdest thing about this room is that there's a portrait of former Stanford Financial Group president Jay Como. Now, the Stanford Financial Group was actually shut down for running one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever, and Jay himself was under investigation, but I think he got off scot-free, so he's definitely a sketchy mother sucker, and to give him even more connections to this hotel, he actually threw a big party at the Zaza Hotel while it was still under construction. Other people in the comments suggested that this room could be relevant to the Skull and Bones, which is a secret society from Yale that George Bush, John Kerry, and Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh attended, which makes sense because the Skull and Bones nickname is Order 322, and the room number was 322, and that would also explain the pictures of the skulls everywhere. And if you weren't absolutely convinced that something weird was happening in this room, OP later updated the post saying a new Redditor offered him a bounty to delete this thread. Redditor gets revenge on his son. Think you kids are a handful? Listen to this shit. This is from the Confession subreddit. "I stood by and allowed my wife to almost whack our son. I was happy she did it. Right off the bat, I'm intrigued." So basically, this man's son was a massive psychopath from day one, and I'm not talking about he puts milk before cereal psychopath. I'm talking about Ted Bundy. Since the minute he was born, this kid was an absolute pain in the tuchus. As an infant, he would cry 24/7, and once he got past the crying, he started breaking everything he could get his hands on. He would then take off his diaper and poo-poo and pee-pee all over the house, and his favorite spot to do this was on his parents' bed. As he got older, he got worse and worse. He would bite, scream, kick, scratch, and spit at anyone who got close to him. Kid was a wild fucking animal. It got so bad that schools refused to take him in, and his parents had to lock themselves in their own room out of fear of him. After a while, OP had another child, a daughter, and she was the exact opposite of that little putz. By the time she was born, the son was 16, and he was just as much of a psycho as ever. He would frequently light things on fire and even torture animals of the neighborhood, which, if you're familiar, are the 2 earliest signs of a serial killer. Anyways, OP and his wife tried to take the kid to therapy and did everything in their power to make the kid behave, but nothing worked. He was evil. He was more evil than those bastards who emulate Nintendo games. Now, the kid and his parents would get
Stop. It's just like a very layered joke. That's so fucking stupid.
into constant arguments, and he would go into a rage. After one of these arguments, his son snuck into his sister's room and cut her with a knife multiple times. When the parents heard her cries, they kicked the door down and saw this little bastard standing above her holding the knife. Now, OP's wife was no spring chicken. People still say that? We gotta bring that phrase back. Anyways, his wife was an amateur boxer, and she kicked the shit out of that schmuck while OP watched.
That's epic, bro. Jesus Christ, she fucking just started boxing the fuck out of this kid, just knocked the shit out of him. That's fucking awesome. I'm sorry. Holy shit.
So bad that he thought that he was now past tense, if you know what I'm saying. But no, he survived, and after a while the family moved and they never saw him again. Roommate wanted. One day a girl named Amanda was...
Wait, what happened to the kid? Since her early teens, my wife was a boxer. MMA didn't exist back then, but karate and boxing were big in those days, and my wife was a very talented amateur. She was about 130 pounds. She carried a lot of muscle, and she knew how to punch. I had 70 pounds on her back then, and I had no doubt that in a real fight between me and her, she could have and would have pounded me flat. That's kind of hot. Neither of us had ever lived a handle our son in anger before, but something broke that day, and all the years of anger and pain and sorrow, we went... when she hit him, his head snapped back and blood started pouring out of his nose. He hardly reacted. He just looked at her with this shocked expression like he didn't know how to process what had just happened. She waited another second and then she hit him again. Oh my God.
I'm saying. But no.
Oh, the kid left in the night? Shit.
He survived, and after a while the family moved and they never saw him again. Roommate wanted. One day a girl named Amanda was browsing Craigslist trying to find an apartment. She says in an ad, roommate wanted, females only. And it was pretty cheap compared to other places in the area. The only thing is, it had only one photo from the outside of the listing property, no photos of the inside. So Amanda decides to email the owner so she could meet her and get a tour of the place. The owner says she works late, so it would have to be around 8 p.m. Amanda agrees, and the next day she arrives only to see a note on the front door that reads, front door broken, use back. So she
Bro, I'm fucking out. I'm out. Front door broken, use back. I'm out. Peace. I'm coming back with the SWAT team. Okay.
She goes around the back and an older man opens the door saying he's the landlord and that the female occupant told him to meet her since she got held up at work. As soon as she walked through the door, there was a bunch of red flags. First of all, there was no furniture. Second of all, the door was boarded up, which means it wasn't broken at all. And the supposed landlord was acting weird and rushing her through the tour and telling her not to turn the lights on for too long. So at this point, Amanda had her, oh shit, I'm about to get made into a lamp moment and decided she needed to get the F out of Buffalo Bill's House of Horrors. So she politely thanks the man for the tour and says she has to leave. But Buffalo Bill perks up and says, oh, I forgot to show you the basement. Now, if you guys have ever seen a movie, you know that nothing good ever happens in a basement. Then a car pulls up in front of the house. At this point, Amanda is in full panic mode. But thinking on her feet, she pretends to get a phone call and says, hey, are you here? Oh, I'll come out and meet you. Then once she gets outside, she sprints to her car and gets the fuck out of there faster than me when I find out I'm not the father.
You are not.
So it turns out that the house was abandoned and the landlord was just a homeless man squatting there. In the basement, he had a piece of fishing wire about shin length on the stairs and a bunch of old blankets and tape. So yeah, this was definitely a puts the lotion on the skin situation. So shout out to Amanda for making the right move there. Also, being a woman sounds terrifying. Someone at the window. While at his cousin's cabin, this man posted a panoramic photo. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that there's a fucking person standing outside.
Well, I was gonna... Jesus, this is fucking weird. I was gonna say, man, like, goddamn, imagine being in a space where you're like, fuck, 225, I can't afford to live anywhere. I'm gonna go live there. It's just some fucking crazy shit.
Really terrifying. Glove Man. No, this is not the worst superhero ever. User Gloves Are Fucked posted an account of his experience he had in Halifax with the man he calls the Glove Man. OP says he was looking for a cab after a night out when suddenly a well-dressed guy pulls up in an SUV and asks if he's looking for a cab. He says yes and hops in the guy's car, because as we all know, getting in a stranger's vehicle is always a good idea.
Sure.
He said the driver was wearing a leather jacket and leather gloves. The man then tells OP that he sells leather gloves and asks OP to try on a pair. Then at one point the glove man starts breathing heavily as he's watching OP put these gloves on. And at this point it was extremely obvious that the dude had some kind of fetish for young men trying on leather gloves. He said he even had to look at the glove guy's hands to make sure he wasn't whacking off. After
It's weird because like there's that guy who had like a fetish for kids sitting in tubs fully clothed. It was weird.
a few more minutes of glove stretching, the driver finally took OP near his house, and that was that. Now, apparently this glove guy is well known in Halifax and has done this to a number of different men.
I think the worst part about being a woman is being a man. I mean, not being a man. Sorry. I fucked up that joke. Worst part about being a woman is not being a man. It's true. That makes me think, like, why would you be a trans woman? Like, why are you going to give up all your power? You know what I'm saying, dude? That's an epic L. I get trans men. Who wouldn't want to be a man? We're amazing. But, like, imagine wanting to be a woman? What's wrong with you, bro? Sis? Sorry. You know? It's like, what the fuck, dude? That was a bad choice. Couldn't be me. That's why I'm not trans. I'm a cisgendered white male. And I'm bald. And fat.
Man. In fact, there were two other posts about him in the Halifax subreddit. Friendly lady.
Cishet white male.
OP goes downtown with her boyfriend's mother for a night on the town. She parks her car and as soon as she gets out, this weird girl with long black hair and a long dress gets close to her and invades her personal space. OP thought this was weird, but she decided she would just walk away and the girl would probably leave her alone. But this was not the case. As she was walking, the girl followed her and her boyfriend's mom. At one point, the boyfriend's mom asked the girl, "Do you need something? Are you okay or what?" The girl replies back, "It's not safe," while looking OP right in the eyes, creepy style. Now this chick follows them everywhere. She even followed them into the bar and sat by them. OP even took a photo of her in the bar. The fuck did you take this photo on, a rotary phone? This was made in 2012, not 1914. Why is the quality so bad?
Shit, bro. 2012? How old was I? 22? I think I had just recently gotten an iPhone. You want to know what I was using before that? A fucking flip phone, bro. Not kidding. I was using a flip phone and then I had a job and I said, you know what? I'm making okay money. I'm going to buy my own phone. Pretty cool. I was working. I think that was actually 2020. I don't know. But you get my point. It makes sense. I actually want a flip phone. I was going to get one of those new Samsung flip phones with like the flip screens. But like I went to the Best Buy and all of them were broken. Like they didn't have a screen on. I'm like, how the fuck? Like it feels like there's a correlation between the flipping of a smartphone and the screen's not working.
Anyways, eventually they called security to get the girl away from them, and she was arguing with the security guard and didn't want to leave, but eventually she was escorted out. Also, OP sounds kind of like a douchebag. Like, this girl was clearly having an episode, or she was being trafficked or something, and she didn't even, like, try to help her at all. She was just trying to get away from her. Drug dealer's mistake. In this disturbing confession...
I wouldn't have assumed that, so...
On Reddit, a user admits to accidentally causing sevevel people to lose their lives. What? See, this man was a peddler of illicit substances on the dark web. He said he sold a variety...
No, honestly, me too, though. I caused a lot of people to lose their lives. I, at one point, decided to delete my OnlyFans. And I know a lot of people like my OnlyFans. They used to, There's pictures on there. Nothing nude, but pretty. I'm still pretty hot with my shirt off. It was all like joke things. I would paint my stomach, different things. It was fun. That's probably. I know a lot of people couldn't handle it anymore, not having that. So I'm thinking about opening up a new one. But fully nude. Balls and alls. You know what I'm saying?
Variety of narcotics, including smack, H, peyote, and fentanyl. One day, OP screwed up the shipments and accidentally sent fentanyl to peyote users. Now, this is bad because these people weren't used to it, so if they were to take a large quantity of it thinking it was peyote, it would lead them to OD. And this is exactly what happened to multiple people. Bro, if I haven't convinced you by now to not do drugs, then I don't even know anymore. Slugs in food. U/smallbean197 posted on the relationship subreddit. My partner has been
slugs are food.
putting slugs in my food for the past 2 weeks.
Why?
I, a 22-year-old female, have been with my partner for 4 years now. A friend of my partner's came into my work today and said he needed to speak to me when I was free. He told me that my partner had been collecting slugs from the garden and putting them in my food, blending them up. He even sent his friend pictures of a bag of slugs he had been collecting and a picture of blended slugs. I feel really sick to my stomach. I don't understand why he would
poor slugs, bro.
do this. This is so out of character for him. I asked him why he was doing it, and he accused me of snooping through his messages. And he got so angry at me for not being able to take a joke. She then posted an image of some slugs she found in a jar.
Those look like shrimps.
Damn, man, I like escargot and everything, but this is ridiculous. Jake3572, aka Jake Davidson, was a rather—
Are those slugs? Escargot, is that slugs or is that, what are the other, snails? I like the same things. They're both boogers, but one of the boogers has a rock on it, you know?
disturbed Redditor who gunned down 5 people in England before taking himself out. Davidson was a member of multiple incel subs like r/incel nation, r/virgin, and r/men's rights. If you look through his post history, it's basically exactly what you would expect from a neckbeard. After he committed these crimes, Reddit deleted his account and his entire post history, possibly to get some of the heat off of them. Girlfriend loves her dad, so this young man is seeing a woman, and everything's going well. They like to roleplay in the bedroom every now and then, and I don't mean Skyrim VR. The dude's girlfriend likes to call him daddy, which he enjoys.
Listen, bro, we're that's just normal nowadays. All right, nowadays we've had a whole generation of people grow up without their fathers. Terrible generation of fathers, and now everybody who doesn't have a dad, boy or girl, they're just or trans, non-binary. They got daddy issues, so they're like, "Hey, daddy." They call you daddy, or you're like, "Yeah, you like that little girl?" You know, that's normal, bro. All right, it's called a fatherless child. Okay, it's not that weird. Okay. So, it's life.
And I think that's weird as shit, but hey, to each his own. He also says that they usually have relations each night, except for when her dad comes to visit, because she feels uncomfortable having coitus with him nearby.
Well,
which is
I mean,
perfectly
that makes sense. Okay.
reasonable. Now, where it starts to get weird is that the girl would just leave OP alone in bed for a long period of time so she could go talk to her dad. This happened nightly while he was staying there, and one of the nights he passed by the room and swore he could hear the bed rocking back and forth and her moaning and groaning. Now, this is pretty freaking disgusting, but some people pointed out in the comments that this guy might not even be her dad at all, but he's just a sugar daddy posing as her dad. And
that'd be fucking crazy. Holy shit.
And I really hope that's the case. Damn hippie.
Which one's worse? Fucking your girlfriend fucking her dad, or a girlfriend pulling a sugar daddy in? Obviously, the dad. My wife couldn't have a sugar daddy. I am the sugar daddy, but that's not so bad. Imagine having a girlfriend and like, yeah, you know, she hangs out with this guy that he fucks her sometimes, but free stuff. Hey, could you fuck him a little harder? For me, I want the new iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Let me get the new iPhone, baby. iPhone 13 Pro Max. What do you got to do for that, honey? You got to take it up the ass while he spits in your mouth? Shit, doesn't sound that hard to me. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it. I'll do it for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, now available at Best Buy and Apple stores. I don't know. That's my sponsor. iPhone 13 Pro Max is my sponsor. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not sponsored by iPhone. I wouldn't take an iPhone sponsorship. Maybe I'd take a sponsorship from BlackBerry flip phone version. That sounds more like a Papa God phone, like a fucking black. I wish they would make flip phones that were like traditional flip phones, but they use the internet. That would just be cool. I don't know. Whatever. Move on.
This post was made on the Unresolved Mystery.
But like, not use the internet, because I know the old ones could too. I used to play internet games on my phone too. I had an Assassin's Creed game. But what I mean is like they could like do traditional shit. It's just like a little baby thing. You could take anything out. Then I could take the phone out and flip it and be like, you know what I mean? I'd look like an old man. It'd be cool. It'd be funny.
Dross1XX.
Hey, thank you so much for the sub, brother.
13 months.
Very popular.
What's up, Papa?
Isn't BlackBerry shutting down? It's because they didn't listen to my idea.
And this guy just saw the film Call of the Wild and decided he wanted to go on his own adventure. So he planned on hiking from the border of Mexico all the way up to Portland where he lives. He made it from Mexico to Northern California with no issues. But then one day, as he's hiking, he sees a couple who looks like they're in their 40s, wearing all white. And they look pretty disheveled. The guy had a long, ungroomed beard. Now, right away I'm thinking, these people are probably in a cult, so there's no way this is going to end well. But
They're probably cannibals.
let's continue. OP waves and says hello to these people, but they don't say anything. They just stare at him creepily. He thinks nothing of it. Later that night, he
I'd fucking carry a gun, bro. I ain't fucking around.
makes camp and ties his food up in a tree to keep it away from bears. The next morning, he sees the food is gone and assumes a bear must have gotten to it. But then he also notices a bunch of boot prints around his campsite. He brushes this off as the people just being hungry and continued on with his journey. But he did start putting sticks around his camps to alert him if anybody got too close. A few more days passed and he had almost forgotten all about those weird hippie cultists. But then one night, he was awoken by the sound of twigs snapping and voices whispering. He grabbed his hunting knife and was ready to stab him on the sucker, but eventually the voices stopped and whoever was near the tent left. Now this is probably the point where any reasonable person would say, fuck it, this hike is over.
Yes, I would have stopped the hike probably about a mile in. You know what I mean? I ain't fucking around. I'm not trying to go on a fucking hike. I mean, I used to hike in the Boy Scouts a lot, so it's not entirely true. It can be fun, but I ain't fucking hiking in the mountains. Okay, I'll hike in the urban jungle, suburban jungle. Not the that's a little too dangerous in the city for me. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'll walk around my house in the suburbs for 40 minutes and then come back home. I've been walking more. Exercise. Wouldn't call it a hike, though.
I just
used to have an external frame backpack.
avoided getting sacrificed to who knows what. Not this guy, though. He kept going. After a few more days, OP was now about 70 miles away from where the last incident happened. But he looked behind him at one point and saw the two people a few miles back walking in his direction. Now, he finally came to his senses and decided he was going to walk to the nearest town. So he starts walking well into the night, but he has to stop eventually and makes camp in the middle of the woods, far away from the trail so those psychos don't find him again. But lo and behold, a couple hours later, he hears the signs of a bad night, crunching of sticks, voices whispering, and footsteps. At one point, somebody flashes a flashlight right at him, and at this point, OP thought he was finished. But he wrote this post, so clearly that didn't happen. At this point, OP jumped out of his tent with a knife in his hand, swinging it around like a Puerto Rican girl who just got cheated on.
Oh my god.
Then he looks around and he saw one of the schmucks, and he started running like a dude dating a Puerto Rican girl who he just cheated on. Eventually, he made his way to town and alerted the police, and they said there have been some similar reports of items disappearing from campsites in the area, but nothing like this. Losing time. I really hope this one's fake. I'll read it from a first-person
That's crazy.
perspective for some variation.
Why do white people insist on going into the woods? I don't know. Why do white people insist on buying haunted houses? What the fuck's the matter with these people?
There's a man I run into sometimes.
It's like you guys don't have any struggles, so you decide to fucking create one. Hey, you know, I'm doing pretty well. I'm thinking I'm gonna go hiking. I'm gonna go for a 17,000 mile hike through fucking the backwoods. I wonder what I'll find. Oh, well, there are white people that want to eat me? Crazy. Hey, I grew up in a nice area. I never really had too many problems. I did struggle on that math test. Only got a C+. But I think I'm going to buy a haunted house. Because, fuck it. You know? Like, what the fuck are people doing, bro? That's why you got to acknowledge your white privilege. Okay?
And then I tend to lose time. Today he came to my door. I live in this apartment complex 4 years ago. On the east side of a complex is a bike trail. One night around 10 p.m. I was out walking my dog. Again, we learned this from the other red post. Bad idea. Never walk your dog at night. I see this guy just standing there.
No, well, buy pit bull. If you're going to walk a dog at night, buy a pit bull. You know what I mean? This way you're covered. You know what I'm saying? And a gun. Buy both of those.
White guy, maybe 35 years old. He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing in one spot with his hands in his pocket.
Legal, you know what I mean? Make sure you live in a good state where it's legal. You know?
Staring at me. As I passed him, I laughed a little and tried to make awkward small talk, but the guy said nothing. He just kept staring. After walking for a bit, I started to get nervous and decided I would take a shortcut off the trail. But here's the thing. The second I stepped off the trail, I can't remember anything past that. It's like I blinked, and suddenly I was in the hall inside my building, turning a key in the lock of my apartment. Fast forward 3.5 years, I was now 19 and 7 months pregnant. Me and my fiance actually moved back to that same apartment complex since it was cheap and near his job. After about a week of living there, I'm taking out the trash one day to the dumpster, which is next to the bike trail. After I toss the bag in the trash, guess who I see near the bike trail? The same guy, still wearing the same clothes. He had a cell phone to his ear, but it was like an older flip phone, circa 2005 or so. He sounded pissed on the phone and was cursing out somebody on the other end, someone named Lauren. And while he was having a conversation, he was looking right at me. I started backing up, he started to walk towards me. As he was walking, he snapped his phone in half, broke the antenna off, broke the screen, and started tossing the broken fragments all around. I ran back in the building as fast as I could. I don't remember what happened next. All of a sudden, I was in bed in the maternity ward. I had an IV in my arm. My fiance was next to me, and we worked out what happened when I was blacked out. I came home from taking out the trash. I was calm and didn't mention the weird guy. I watched an episode of Battlestar Galactica and then started throwing up a bit. Dang man, Battlestar Galactica must be a really bad show. I spiked a pretty nasty fever later, so we went to the hospital. Turns out I just had a really bad case of the flu. So that was in 2012. This post was made in 2013 when she had another encounter with a man. She goes on to say, today is Monday, September 9th. I've not seen the man since then until this morning. I heard somebody knocking at the door and I see our dog growling, which is unusual. She never growls. I opened the door and the man in the coat was on the other side, wearing the same down coat, even though it was hot outside. Okay, this dude must be a New Yorker. They wear puffer jackets no matter the situation.
Nah, he's probably fat. He's probably obese. When I was younger, I used to wear I used to always wear a jacket in school because I was self-conscious about my body. Now I'm not. Look at this. That's fucking. Look at that. Like that. It's kind of hot.
I was at the beach once. I saw a dude wearing a puffer jacket in the water. I'm guessing he was also wearing a pair of Timbs. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Back to the story. I woke up an hour and a half ago.
Feels racially motivated, bro.
Sitting at my kitchen table. First thing I noticed is that the thermostat had been set to 90 degrees. All of a sudden I was fully dressed and my baby was in her crib. She was crying and hadn't been fed or changed. My dog was by the crib whimpering. I fed and changed the baby and she wasn't hurt. I'm not hurt either, but there's blood on the floor by the door. I wonder if my dog bit him. I don't know. He's gone and nothing has been stolen. Creepy. Well, if you ever see a strange New Yorker by a hiking trail, run. Now, a lot of people in the comments and also myself are wondering what the heck could this phenomenon possibly be? And many people in the comments seem to think that she either had a brain tumor or some kind of epilepsy, but that doesn't explain how she found pieces of an actual phone in the parking lot or why it only had
I mean, I don't know, probably just a phone in the parking lot. You know, it could be. You know, that's it.
happens every few years since her childhood. Another person offered the suggestion that it could possibly be a real guy using the drug Devil's Breath or scopolamine. Now, scopolamine sounds like some James Bond bullshit. Like, this does not sound like a real drug, but it's real. So basically, when you blow it into somebody's face and they inhale it, it turns them into a zombie, and they like agree to everything that you say, and also they lose their memory. And I know it sounds fake, but check out the Vice documentary on it. This is some real shit, and it's
What is it called? Devil's Breath? I'm not even like making a joke that like I gotta get some. You know, like it's fucked up.
crazy. Other than that, I don't know what it could be besides aliens. Hiding place. This one is absolutely tremendously Among Us-ly disgusting. I will be
Among Us. Look at this. It's an Among Us. Among Us.
very brief discussing this one. Basically, there was this girl who was in a psych ward because of her severe anorexia.
What do you guys think about like all these weird boomer jokes I make? Like, what is the reception of them? I don't care because I'm gonna keep doing it, but I'm just curious.
In order to hide food from the hospital staff, she would store it in her
Pussy?
punani. And as you can probably guess, nothing good can come of that. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. I would highly recommend you do not look this one up. OP his balls just to make a point. I bleep that word out because I don't know if I'm allowed to use it, but it rhymes with schmorcher. This one's actually pretty funny. So this guy posted an image of some weird chair claiming that it's a homemade electric chair he found in an abandoned building in Croatia. He also said in the comments that there was a bunch of car batteries nearby. Now, there were a bunch of naysayers in the comments saying, oh, that's just a swing. There's no way that's an electric chair. So OP did the only logical thing. He used the chair to electrocute his own Balzac and posted a picture of it. Sure, show those smucks. Cockroach.
Sure.
Today I fudged up by admitting to my girlfriend that I pretended.
Cockroach, more like a cock roast. Get it? Because the guy burned his balls in the last one.
She's a giant cockroach when we have coitus. Ever since I was a teenager, I have a very intense fantasies about having coitus with a giant roach. Dang, man, this gives a whole new meaning to the word cockroach. Holy moly.
True.
Mommy's little girl. I'm a female that breastfed until she was 15. I'm in my 20s now. AMA. Dang, man. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Sister.
Sus.
I've had a sustained intimate relationship
How is this like the third tier? Like, this is insane. Okay.
with both of my sisters. AMA. What are you, a fucking Targaryen? So this guy claims to have had entanglements with both his younger sister as well as his twin sister. He says he's from the UK, but this is some Alabama behavior. Now, this post is filled with so much degeneracy that it actually pisses me off. But whatever, I'm gonna go through some of the questions and his answers. When asked to describe how the first encounter started, he said they were both drinking wine in the south of France, and then inhibitions were loose, and she made the first move. There are millions of women. Why your sisters? I'm wondering the same shit, my guy. He answers, because I
No one else gets me, bro.
was and still am attracted to them. I was 14, and if there's a possibility of constantly available coitus with an attractive girl, it's an opportunity I wasn't going to turn down.
That's fucking insane. You know what it is? It's more fucked up. Like the twins makes more sense, and like it's gross, but it's not that big of a deal necessarily because they're identical twins. But him and the younger sister, there's always I don't even know how much younger that she is, but there's always like a power dynamic when it comes to siblings that are raised together, which has to be understood. Because like, let's say you're 7 and they're 4. It's only 3 years, right? Or actually, I should have started to be like, oh, let's say you're fucking 16 and they're 14, or you're 18 and they're 16. That's probably better because all these are sounding disgusting. Right? When you were like 5, they were 3. That's a huge age difference for young people, and so like you're really subconsciously programming the 3-year-old. The parents too. You're programming them to listen to the 5-year-old. That's what you do. That's very normal. Like, oh, listen to your brother, or listen to your older sister, listen to your older. And so all of a sudden, all that programming that was been instilled carries over to when you're 18 and 16 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's fucked up. Even a year can be like profound in these situations. So younger sister was one like makes me more uncomfortable. It's all gross, but that one's much more uncomfortable.
The fact that she was my sister didn't really come into it. It was fun. Plus, have you ever done anything that you know is wrong but did it anyway? Yeah, I stole a pair of headphones from Walmart.
Yeah, you know, I like. I don't even know. I don't do anything wrong. I'm a fucking always right.
Okay, I sure as shit didn't my sister. My brother, on the other hand. Okay, man, for real, I cannot do it with the familial entanglements anymore. This is too weird. Let's move on. Special delivery. Apparently, this dude came home to find a coffin in his driveway. Dang, man, don't you hate when you order coffee online, but they accidentally send you a coffin instead? Now, people were begging OP to open up that bad boy, but obviously he was reluctant, because it's a fucking coffin in his driveway. But eventually he gave in to the peer pressure and posted the contents of the sarcophagus, and it was a key along with a set of coordinates, and the coordinates were to the Sandweiler German cemetery in Luxembourg. What could this mean? What could this mean? Oh, it's fake. Creepy landlord. A girl named Kimmy moved to a new apartment back in 2012. Her landlord was a sweet older woman who would bring her leftovers every day after she would cook. Kimmy was kind of a recluse, so she didn't go out too much. After a few months of living in this apartment, she started noticing things were not right. They were moving around or just plain disappearing, but she was convinced that this was just her anxiety playing tricks on her. She also noticed she was starting to get drowsy, but blamed this on her medication since it was one of the side effects. One day the landlady brings her a salad, she eats it, and then passes out. After a few hours, she wakes up and notices that her bedding on one side looks weird, almost like somebody was laying in it. And even weirder is that it was warm, but she explained that away as well. A few more months passed, and more of her stuff kept going missing, and she kept noticing a strange odor in the air after she would wake up. This would keep happening until she decided she couldn't take it anymore, so she went to go stay with her parents for a few days to get her mind right. While she was staying with her parents, her dad went to go check on her apartment, and when he went inside, all over the walls was written things like, "Come back," and "Baby please," and other weird things of that nature. The dad called the police, and after an investigation, it was found that the landlord's son had been drugging the food and sneaking into the girl's apartment. The guy had a whole ass relationship with this girl in his head that she didn't even know about, and he told investigators that they were in love and that the whole thing was consensual. Again, being a woman sounds terrifying. Evil son. We had another evil son.
That's why, honestly, we talk about pretty privilege of like, oh, people who are attractive have it so easy. Bro, we don't talk about ugly privilege enough. No one, like, who's gonna fucking attack me? I'm ugly as fuck, you know what I'm saying? That's why ugly women have got it. Fuck, this is horrible. I hate doing this. But you know what? It's fucked up. Oh, it's terrible.
Story a few layers ago, and this one is just as insane, if not more. Similar situation, parents were loving and tried to raise their kid right. But some people are just born evil, I guess. This kid started shoplifting when he was 15. Despite being caught and punished and going to therapy multiple times, it didn't help. By 16, he was drinking, and not long after, he was leaving bongs and pipes and needles all over the house just to screw with his parents. He also got
Wait, he's drinking with needles? What the fuck?
held back in high school and formed a gang of other juvenile delinquents. He was even entangling with one of the other gang members' sisters, who was only 13 years old. Then one night, he dialed up the evil to 11 when he tried to forcibly entangle with his own mother at knife point. For this, he would only go to prison for a short 3 years, and his mother would divorce OP and take her life a year later. After the son was released from prison, he kept trying to contact OP for money, and every now and then he would claim to be clean and have changed his ways after doing rehab. But it never
That's fucked up. I thought I would kill my son if that happened.
lasted longer than a few months. You know, man, making this video has made me never want to have kids. Ty cried for help. If you look at the comment history for Reddit user FujitaKiken001, you'll see the same comment being made over and over again on a lot of different posts. The phrase being used is, "I face serious problem of human rights at Fujita Geek in Thailand. Please help." The only exception is one single comment that's in Japanese, and in English it roughly translates to power harassment in Thailand. Now, people tried reaching out to this person, but they never responded back. Instead, they just keep making these posts. But let's dig a little deeper. Fujita Geekin is a Japanese company which, according to their website, designs various industrial machines. If you look at the Google reviews for the Thai branch of this company, you can see they're swamped with a bunch of one-star reviews with comments confirming that they are indeed committing human rights violations. Homeless Holocaust lover. You remember when you were a kid and you used to do stupid, potentially dangerous stuff because you wouldn't want to be called a pussy? Well, these two kids took that to the extreme. They were exploring a cave in the woods near their houses when they started to notice signs that somebody was living in that cave. Assorted trash, doo-doo, needles, you know, classic homeless person stuff. But then they found some other interesting items. Ball gags, rope, booty beads, among other sick stuff. And man, homeless cave orgies gotta be one of those things that you never think about, but definitely happen all the time. Anyways, as if all that stuff wasn't disturbing enough, OP came upon a photo album which was full of pictures of the Holocaust. Two of these pages in this book were stuck together with a gooey substance. Okay, that is absolutely disgusting, and despite the fact that they saw all this nasty stuff, OP still stayed in that cave for way longer than he should have because he was afraid his friend would call him a pussy. Man, we really need to get rid of this mentality. When I was 15, I let my friends shoot me 5 times with a paintball gun so I wouldn't seem like a weenie. And it freaking hurt, man. I had no padding or anything. I had bruises for like 3 weeks. Anyways, after a while, OP finally built up the nerve to tell his friend that they should get the F out of there. And to his surprise, the friend was like, "Good idea. I wanted to say something sooner, but I didn't want you to think I was a little bitch." You know who else can't sleep? In June of 2013, one of the worst fires in US history happened near Yarnell, Arizona. The Yarnell Hill fire destroyed half the town, caused almost $1 billion in damages, and claimed the lives of 19 firefighters. This was at the time the highest number of firefighter casualties since 9/11. Now, the fire chief in Yarnell at the time was a man by the name of Jim Coyley, and Coyley's stepdaughter commented on a Reddit post linking an article talking about the fire. She said, "Gah, I can't sleep. My stepdad is the fire chief there. My mom is a paramedic, but firefights too." Another Redditor responded to her comment with a freaking bombshell. "You know who else can't sleep? The 3-year-old daughter your stepdad buried alive and killed. Disgusting." Apparently, Coyley's stepdaughter had no idea about this. She said, "I've known the man almost 30 years, and this is the first I've heard of this." Now, listen to this shit. In 1974, a Maricopa County juror convicted Coyley of manslaughter on the passing of 3-year-old Carla Dahlstead. Coyley was a Mesa firefighter at the time. According to court records, Coyley said he spanked and pushed Carla, daughter of his live-in girlfriend Alice Dahlstead. The little girl hit her head on the edge of a crib and was knocked unconscious. Coyley said he was disciplining Carla for lying. Coyley also said he attempted mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and cardiac massage, but he thought Carla was no longer alive. Panicking, Coyley drove the toddler out to the desert near the Mesa dump where he buried her. When the mother came home, Coyley told her that Carla had been abducted or wandered away, court records stated. 6 hours after he buried the toddler's body, Coyley took back his story and admitted that he buried her. As the police dug up the little girl, they discovered she was still alive and transported her to the hospital. Carla Carla passed a day later from brain damage. Judge
What
Charles
the
Roush
fuck?
reduced Coyley's conviction to involuntary manslaughter after Dahlstedt pleaded for leniency. I also want to add that the medical examiner said that she passed from a blow to the head by a fist or a hand, not hitting her head on the edge of a crypt. Once news of this got out, possibly because of Reddit, Coyley would lose his job as fire chief. And you know what? This piece of garbage only did 5 years probation for burying a 3-year-old alive. I'm all for forgiveness after serving your time, but this guy served no time. And whatever, man, this is making me mad. Bone in the boot. What?
I'm not. I mean, like, this is one of those things where it's like instant death. You KO, you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. You hurting a child? Shit, peace. You know what I mean?
A dirty little secret of someone else has ever been dying to tell. Former best friend participated in a boot party where they curb stomped the homeless man to the point of no longer being with us. She called me drunk the next morning to laugh about it. I never spoke to her again. I know groupthink is powerful and that the Sharps are basically a gang, but I could never wrap my head around that one. I'll always be grateful I wasn't there. Now, let's add a little bit of context. A boot party is an event in which skinheads brutally kick somebody with steel-toed boots. The Sharps, referenced in this comment, are skinheads against racial prejudice, which, you know, shout out to them for not being racist, but I guess they're still a gang and they still participate in some messed up gang activities like boot parties. Whew, we made it, man. That's about it, guys. I know this was long, so thank you for sticking through it. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And again, this is my last Iceberg video I'm doing this year. No, but seriously, guys, thank you. This year's been crazy. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. This time last year, I had 20 subs. And now I have 50,000, which is insane. So thank you guys for sticking with me all year. Hopefully next year I can do another 50. So yeah, in 2022, I plan on doing more content that I find interesting, like history and weird conspiracies, commentary, things of that nature. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you guys again. I could not do it without you. Later.
Just make porn. Not a bad idea. All right. Well, that was interesting.